We turn now to another high-profile court trial we've been following for months. The jury in the Aaron Hernandez murder trial will return again tomorrow for a third day of deliberations.
No verdict was reached today, and so far jurors have spent about 9 hours deciding the fate of the former Patriots star. Eyewitness News reporter Susan Campbell has been our eyes and ears throughout the entire trial. She joins us live in Fall River with more on where things stand.
As the jury was brought back into the courtroom this afternoon, they were stone-faced and they avoided looking in Aaron Hernandez's direction. Prosecutors say Aaron Hernandez carefully coordinated the murder of Odin Lloyd, luring Lloyd to his death in this North Attleboro Industrial Park in the early morning hours of June 17, 2013.
He's got the gun in his hand.
But the defense says there's no proof. During closing arguments, attorney James Salton suggested Hernandez was at the crime scene but had nothing to do with the crime.
If there was evidence of any reason that Aaron had to murder Odin Lloyd, don't you think you would have heard about it in 9 weeks?
Instead, the defense says one of Hernandez's associates, Carlos Ortiz or Ernest Wallace, pulled the trigger after flying into a PCP-induced rage. The jury, made up of 7 women and 5 men, will consider both arguments during deliberations, using 439 exhibits as well as testimony from 135 witnesses. Jurors had a few questions that the judge addressed.
Your first question is, does constructive possession mean the accused had to have the intention to use the alleged item in question? And the answer to that is a no.
In addition to the murder charge, Aaron Hernandez is charged with 1 count of unlawful possession of a firearm and 1 count of unlawful possession of ammunition. The jury will pick up their deliberations again here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Shannon and Mike.
Susan, while the jurors are deliberating, where is Aaron Hernandez?
So while the judge is off the bench, Aaron Hernandez is in a holding cell. But if the attorneys and the judge are in the courtroom, so is Aaron Hernandez. During that time today, we saw a very familiar Aaron Hernandez, a lot of laughing, a lot of joking around with his attorneys. He seemed pretty relaxed, just like he did yesterday.
All right, Eyewitness News reporter Susan Campbell live in Fall River. Thank you very much.
Now we turn to the Aaron Hernandez murder trial. Jurors in this case have not yet reached a verdict.
They deliberated yesterday and today for a total of 9 hours and came back in the courtroom a couple of times today to ask questions. Eyewitness
News reporter Susan Campbell has been following this case since it started. She joins us now live outside Fall River Superior Court.
The jury first asked for a list of exhibits, which they got. Then they asked a couple questions about the firearm and ammunition charges.
To decide.
After a full day of deliberations, the jury has not reached a verdict in Aaron Hernandez's trial.
Please do not resume your deliberations until after you have come into the courtroom tomorrow.
The former football star is accused of killing Odin Lloyd in 2013 in this North Attleboro Industrial Park. At times, Hernandez's lengthy trial prompted tears from Lloyd's loved ones, who filled the front row of the courtroom every day. Hernandez also had a steady show of support from his aunt and uncle, his mother, and his fiancée Cheyenne Jenkins, who's accused of tossing the murder weapon. Some things to keep in mind while the jury is deliberating: Hernandez's DNA was at the scene on a marijuana blunt. His DNA was also on a shell casing stuck to bubble gum that was found in a dumpster where Hernandez returned his rented Ultima. A .22 caliber gun with ties to a Hernandez associate was found near Odin Lloyd's body. But the murder weapon, a .45 caliber Glock, has not been found, and prosecutors were not able to establish a clear motive. Hernandez's alleged co-conspirators Ernest Wallace and Carlos Ortiz have both pleaded not guilty to murder charges and will be tried separately. The jury will continue their deliberations here beginning tomorrow at 9 a.m. Live in Fall River with the Southeastern Massachusetts Mobile Newsroom, Susan Campbell, Eyewitness News.
And you can count on Eyewitness News for continuing coverage of the Hernandez trial. Coming up in less than 10 minutes, the Target 12 investigators examine evidence excluded from the trial. The jury didn't get to see, but you will.
And as soon as there's a verdict in the case, we'll bring it to you right here on WPRI 12 and on WPRI.com.